So despite Anthem's rough launch, a lot of people figured that if you give the game a month or 2 or 3, it'll probably be in a better state. But if you look at the general vibes right now surrounding this game, a lot of people don't feel good about it. The sentiments surrounding this game are worse than ever. This goes doubly true after what happened on April 23rd. So first of all, BioWare hosted a live stream for a brand new stronghold they introduced into the game. A lot of people were anticipating that BioWare would be very reactive, they'd, keep track of the chat, answer as many questions as possible, but ultimately, the stream didn't offer much new. They just kind of played through the stronghold, which, was already out by then because they delayed that stream by a week because of cut fiber. By the time this new stream went up, people were already playing that new stronghold, so there was less of a point hosting this live stream. A lot of the questions and feedback surrounding some of the core issues with the game went ignored, and people just wondered what was the point? Why even do this when you're not gonna engage with the community? On the same day, they also released this Reddit post, an update from developers confirming that the entire roadmap had in fact been delayed, which didn't come as a surprise to anyone. So while they did manage to get a new stronghold out in time, stuff like the mastery system, guilds, legendary missions phase 2, weekly stronghold challenges, leaderboards, new free play events, and even the major Cataclysm event that was supposed to come in May have all been pushed back. And then adding salt to injury was the fact that the update they released for Anthem on April 23rd didn't change loot at all, despite that being the major issue of the game right now. It is the core thing bringing the whole game down. Currently, the game's got this stingy loot drop rate, which doesn't give you enough masterworks or legendaries to make players feel like they're progressing at an appropriate pace. To top it all off, the game's still experiencing server issues. It's been a few months since the launch, and it's still got these issues that should have been resolved by now. There's a couple reports on Reddit, like this one right here, showing a user racing towards this legendary item drop before getting disconnected, right before retrieving it. It's pretty painful to watch. And then this other user is just about to kill a boss, and then right before the health depletes, he gets disconnected from the game. Stuff like this is unacceptable. It's already bad enough that the loot drop rates suck, but when people are about to get something as valuable as a legendary weapon or complete a boss battle, for the game to be in a state where, at the last minute it might just boot you out of the game and waste all these hours put into the game, yeah, that just compounds the issue that much more. So there's just been a lot of rumblings going on. The Anthem community isn't happy. People are not optimistic about the game. So Jesse Anderson, who is the global community manager over at BioWare, finally took to Twitter to address some of the concerns, talk about the less than ideal state of the game, the lack of communication, and various other topics. Here's what he had to say. I think it's time that I talked about some things that have been on my mind. This is going to be a long thread of reply, so buckle up. To kick things off, I want to talk about why there hasn't been as much communication on Anthem from me these past few weeks. I've been wanting to talk about so many things because I don't like going quiet, but there were reasons for this. Sometimes when there are bigger discussions going on internally, I have to put communication on hold to avoid saying inaccurate things. A lot of this is explained in that Reddit post I shared from the team. If I ever have to go quiet again, I will let the community know. Okay, so it is okay for developers to occasionally have to kind of back off social media and forums to kind of plan things along before they convey information. I get that can happen. But when developers don't even tell the community, hey, we're about to go quiet, we're going to plan some things out and we'll get back to you, when they can't even give a community the heads up, that's when people get worried. People start to think, oh, they're just going radio silent because they don't want to deal with the backlash or because they have nothing to say. That's sort of the kind of perception you foster when you don't communicate with people what's going on. When you don't tell them beforehand, we're about to go quiet for reasons X, Y, and Z. Now, Jesse did say that if he ever plans to go quiet again, he will actually give people heads up, which is good to know. But stuff like this should be obvious. I don't know why it's only now that he's committing towards this. This should have been done from the get-go. Anyway, Jesse continued. Moving forward, I should be able to talk more though. It might not always be about future content for Anthem, but I can talk about what just released, what's about to release, and issues the team is aware of and are fixing/investigating. Anthem streams. The last stream was rough for me. I won't hide from that. I wasn't able to answer questions people wanted the answers to, and it was very difficult to pull questions from the chat that were about about what we were showing. The plan was to have the stream go out the week before so that we could share the new stronghold and the patch notes, but that freaking cable that was cut made my life hell. New info would have been shared as originally planned. And when the chest was opened up on stream, I did almost say purple rain, but didn't because I wasn't sure how people would react and I froze. I was at a loss for words. Normal me would just laugh and joke about it, but things are sensitive right now, so I didn't. I want to get back to a point where we can have fun together as a community on streams. I'm going to do everything in my power to avoid situations like that again because it's not a great experience for players either. If we're going to do a stream on story, combat, level design, or something else, we'll state that ahead of time so you can know what to expect. For those who don't know what Jesse's referring to when he's talking about opening a chest and freezing on stream, on April 23rd in the stream where they showed off the new stronghold, Jesse was a part of it, and at one point they experienced one of the core issues of Anthem, the whole aspect of loot not dropping enough masterworks or legendaries, just giving players a bunch of epics, the purple colored items. You can see the moment captured in full display right here, the infamous purple rain, and when that moment happened, the whole team just went silent. It was a really awkward situation.
Can assist the rest of the party.
Are you trying to get someone else to open it? Do this. Just open it and then back away really quick. You'll see the run. All right, so how much...
It was this embarrassing moment that kind of highlighted Anthem's biggest issue right now, which is that loot sucks. There's no sense of progression. And while that was happening, loot was the main topic of discussion in the chat. People were asking, what are you going to do about loot? But the developers would not answer any questions on that front, so it was just really bad optics all around. Now, in defense of Jesse specifically, he is just the community manager. He's sort of just the messenger, and like he said, things are sensitive at Bioware, so I imagine that there's just so much he can say. He clearly wants to communicate more based on this tweet, but Bioware just isn't letting him, or he simply can't. I imagine that Bioware is now trying to keep their cards close to the chest before they feel like they're ready to announce stuff, given that the roadmap didn't pan out. They put this out, some time ago, but they realized, hey, we cannot actually fulfill this, and so I think their plan of attack now is to wait until they know they can absolutely fulfill something before they make that commitment. Now, while I don't blame Jesse for Anthem's current state, I do want to address two things. One, yes, the fiber got cut, and that was unfortunate. It was an unforeseen event that BioWare Austin couldn't have predicted, but that still doesn't justify the fact that they went radio silent for that whole week. Instead of trying to get the stream running sooner or providing patch notes or a pre-made video within that week time span, they just kind of went, all right, well, we'll just push this till next week and then not say anything. The handling of that unforeseen circumstance was just not ideal, and that's inexcusable given Anthem's current state, where communication is more paramount than ever because the community feels lost. They feel like there's just not a bright future to look forward to. The last thing you want to do right now, given the state Anthem is in, is go pure silent. Second thing I want to address is that when you are doing one of these live streams, you have to be willing to engage with the entire community and be willing to address pressing questions, especially when we're dealing with Anthem and its broken state. The problem with that April 23rd stream was that a lot of people felt ignored. They were all asking about loot, and yet Jesse at one point basically said, I wish people would ask more about level design. If you go to the subreddit, you'll see that a lot of people took insult and issue with this, given that it's just not the appropriate thing to say when there are more pressing matters to talk about in regards to Anthem than frickin' level design. Now, Jesse's response to this is that he'll let people know next time when a stream is just about story, just about combat, or just about level design. But I don't think you should stream if you're just gonna confine people to specific topics. Maybe if your game was in a better state, then you could kind of get away with that, but right now there are very pressing issues you have to deal with that you have to tackle directly and address. So people are just not going to be interested in level design. They're going to want to know, when's the fix coming? What are you going to do about it? What does the future hold? Until you fix your game on a fundamental level, you just can't cherry pick what the community asks, because they're not going to hold back. Don't just go on the live stream and say, man, I wish you guys would ask about level design. You're in no place to ask that from a disillusioned community that's been very patient with how you've been handling the game, and the lack of communication, the lack of updates, the lack of loot. in a looter shooter. Anyway, moving on, Jesse concluded his string of tweets with this. I have seen people saying that we don't look at other streams and questioning why we don't just do what they do. We do look at streams from other studios. It would be silly not to. We'll be evolving our streams as we go and are listening to the community feedback for them. One thing we did was not have people talking and playing at the same time, because doing that is difficult when you aren't speaking to exactly what you are doing in game. I also understand sometimes people just want information drop, so we'll see what we can do there as well. I want to say that I play other games that we are sometimes compared to. I've played Destiny for years, have reached World Tier 5 in the Division 2, 55 hours in Warframe, and 95 hours logged in Anthem. We can all coexist. Let's not spread hate. Loot, I know you want answers, but right now the only thing I can share is what was said in the update post from Reddit. I will definitely be one of the first to share news when I can. It is great that Jesse plays other looter shooters like Destiny, Division 2, Warframe, what have you, games that Anthem should have looked at. It's just unfortunate that higher-ups encouraged that developers never mention these games during Anthem's development. You may recall that this was something highlighted in Jason Schreier's expose on Anthem's troubled development. The higher-ups basically said, do not mention Destiny, we don't want people to bring up Destiny, this game isn't like Destiny, we just want you to make Anthem. I don't know if it was denial, if it was ego, whatever it was, BioWare higher-ups refused to acknowledge that Anthem needs to draw elements from Destiny, learn from that game so they could bolster their own looter shooter. And this all sort of explains why Anthem felt so poorly designed, why it made such fundamental mistakes when it came to how progression and loot should be handled in a looter shooter. Not to mention that, there was also the fact that a lot of the developers couldn't test out Anthem systems because most of the game was spent in pre-production and only the last 12 to 16 months went into actually building the game. But that's on BioWare higher-ups. Again, I don't blame Jesse for any of this. Again, he's just a messenger, and it seems like he's just trying to do what he can with the unfortunate cards that he was dealt with. Jesse does seem like he's trying to do the best he can on his end, that he's trying to learn based on the mistakes of the April 23rd stream, which was definitely a mess. I mean, it came too late. They didn't answer key questions. There were a lot of embarrassing showcases of Anthem's core issues, and, nobody in the stream seemed particularly enthused. And it's just a bad look when the chat is giving you unanimous questions and feedback that you're pretending is non-existent. Now, despite Jesse's strive to do better, despite his enthusiasm, my worry is that the game just won't live long enough for us to see the fruits of Jesse's intentions, of him wanting to create positive change for not just the streams, but hopefully also with how the game functions. The roadmap delay, I think, was a really big blow to the Anthem community's morale. A lot of people feel like, yeah, at this point, Anthem really does look like it's dying. A lot of people have lost hope. A lot of people feel like Anthem getting to an adequate state is taking way too long, and there's no road ahead because a lot of the stuff they said has been delayed. It's indefinite. People don't know when this stuff's going to come out now. BioWare doesn't seem to have an idea for when they expect to complete all of these promised elements, the Cataclysm and what have you. The drop in interest for this game is especially apparent if you look at Twitch viewership. When I checked last time, only like 250 people were watching others stream Anthem, which is just a horrible state for a live service so young to be in. It's just clear that interest is waning, hope is waning, the frequency of updates is waning, satisfaction from people who purchase the game, from fans who are trying to be loyal is waning. It all just seems like it's going to shit. So while I appreciate that the messenger Jesse is doing his best here, I just can't feel assured that Anthem isn't doomed, that we've hit a point of no return, that it can no longer make a comeback, that nothing short of a Final Fantasy XIV style overhaul will bring it back from the brink of extinction, from the brink of seemingly inevitable death. Nobody knows what the future holds though, so I could be wrong. Maybe Anthem will pull some miracle out of its pocket, but as it currently stands, I don't blame people for saying enough is enough. I quit, I'm out. There's just better stuff out there right now. Better games you can spend your time in that actually do have a roadmap ahead, that actually do feel like have an optimistic future. There's just so much more to look forward to than this mess that we have right now called Anthem, this thing that seems directionless at this point. These are one man's thoughts and opinions on this whole situation anyway. I'd love to hear what your take is on Jesse's responses, his recent tweets in the comments below. With that, I would like to end this news update and discussion video. Thank you for tuning in. To be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.